Welcome back, Pauper fans. This is Mathonical with round 4 of the Pauper Challenge. We are going to jump into this and look at our opening hand. It's a bit of a slow hand with a lot of artifacts that we're going to have to cycle through, but perfectly keepable. Glinthawk means we have a creature, we've got a little bit of pressure with, or some way of removing some pressure with the lightning bolt. So we happily keep this one. This is not the kind of hand we want to have against some kind of very fast deck, so seeing a Delver on turn 1, things are pretty good since we're going to be looking to bolt it. Seeing the Saltwater Cliffs means we're hoping that if this is Izzet Blitz, that they don't have an immediate Kiln theme. Turns out they do. We could have held the Lightning Bolt to kill the Kiln Fiend, but we also didn't really have much going on, so we just wanted to remove anything that was in our way. Turns out, bolting the Delver in that situation was a mistake, and after a bit more thought, it would have definitely been better to hold up the Lightning Bolt for the next turn, because they just have the exact set of cards that can kill us through one blocker. That is exactly what Izzet Blitz likes to do. So, very quick first round. We didn't even use a minute on our clock. Jumping into game 2, we're definitely going to try and play a little bit better on this one. And we do have a pretty good sideboard plan. The Standard Bearers allows us to stop Team of Battle Rage and their Shadow Walk or Shadow Rift cards fairly effectively. Circle Protection Red is one of the reasons why it's in the sideboard, being able to shut down their creatures. And Prismatic Strands, absolutely great here, being able to stop attacks as well. So we take out a lot of the slower cards, Battle Screeches, and a couple Palace Sentinels. Palace Sentinels aren't that great since they have unblockable effects and can very easily just kind of take the Monarch from us. We leave one in just because if we manage to have that effect in a good spot, it is still pretty decent to have, and we do want to keep the removal spells running to deal with all their creatures. We also take out a Prophetic Prism and a land just because we've lowered our curve and we don't want to just be stuck with large amounts of cycling in hand. Alright. Our opening hand looks pretty great. We have a removal spell, we have lots of land so we can play anything we draw as we go forward, and a little bit of life gain, draw cards, Glinthawk, yep, everything checks out. We would like some more removal spells, but we're hoping that'll come in time. We start with the Mountain in case we want to play the Galvanic Blast. Getting a second one of those is great. As we mentioned, having the ability to remove as many things as possible is exactly what we want, and drawing an additional Lightning Bolt off Prophetic Prism means we are now set for this game. Since they don't have any creatures down, it means we get to have a turn to Glinthawk back our Prophetic Prism and continue to draw additional cards. Sitting on 4 removal spells is the exact kind of plan that we want. We will want to kill everything that they have. Here we attack with the Stormbound Geist because if they block, it just means that we can kill it using only 1 removal spell. It's not really a 2-for-1 since our Glinthawk draws this card with Prophetic Prism, and we are concerned about keeping our life total as high as possible to make it difficult for them to combo us off in one turn without having a large sequence of cards all at once. If they play any kind of Cyclops or Kiln Fiend, we have lots of ways of removing it, so we're not too concerned. Getting the Sen's Enlistment is not bad there. We have 4 lands, so we can start cashing in our lands going forward if we'd like to get additional pressure. Journey to Nowhere is awesome. It means we can deal with any future Stormbound Geist, and just removal spells in general at this point is exactly what we want. Since they still haven't applied any pressure to us, it means we can continue to develop our board and continue to draw cards with our Prophetic Prism. In this position, instead of bouncing the Prophetic Prism, we actually bounce our Third Inspector. The reasoning for that is just to keep up the 1 extra mana to be able to remove things on their turn, make them burn a protection effect, and then again on our turn. Since we would have been a little tight on mana with only 2 red sources on our turn. but they are unable to find anything to pressure us with, so we just continue to beat them down, and we're looking to win on the next turn through an attack and some Galvanic Blasts. When they play the Cyclops, we just go ahead and bolt their face to use up some of our red mana, draw a card. The Vial means we can now just activate on the Nivic Cyclops and attack for the win, so we go ahead and do that. If they have some way of removing our Core Skyfisher, we can just bolt them for the win. We do have to be a little concerned about some sort of like double days shenanigans, but the chance of them having double days is extremely unlikely, and it would not leave them with many options with which to win on the swing back without a gush. This is another one of those instances where it probably would have been better to get all the burns out of the way ahead of time, just to make sure there was no counter effects, just to make sure we're trying to limit our opponent's options as much as possible. So that's just another quick note for myself and all of you viewers in the future. And that brings us into Game 3. Once again, we do not want to lose. We'd like to try and make it to the top 8. Our opening hand, albeit a little slow, is great. We do have 4 mana sources, removal, interaction, card draw with the Prophetic Prism and Core Skyfisher combo. So we go ahead and keep this and hope that they don't have some kind of ridiculous draw that can somehow like Kiln Fiend with Mutagenic Growth to protect against the Lightning Bolts type thing. Thankfully, they basically just play a Delver, and when we go to Bolt, they actually protect it. This tells me that they don't have a lot of either threats or they're missing a color to play the other threats in their hand. And I'm really glad that they're getting an Apostle's Blessing out of the way now. They play a Stormbound Geist, we're not worried, we have one of the Journeys. But we're more concerned about getting rid of the Delver there, just for mana efficiency purposes, and being able to get out Thraben Inspector. Since they played the Nivic Cyclops, we absolutely have to get rid of that. And we use the Galvanic Blast because we do want to try and save the Journey for getting rid of the Stormbound Geist. But since they've now played another threat that we must remove, and this is our only piece of removal, we will get rid of it using the Journey. It means we will be getting chipped in for 2 damage for the foreseeable future. Except the Core Skyfisher has a good chance of keeping it back on defense. They may still attack in anyways just to transform it into a 3/3, but we aren't just going to take 2. Turns out they have a Mutagenic Growth, and that is fine by us. The Journey, even though we would like to use that on the Stormbound Geist, we cannot allow them to have any of the Kiln Fiend effects. There's too many ways they can just win out of nowhere with that. Drawing additional cards is great. We want to make sure we keep them off of all their creatures. They are down to 1 card in hand, so the chances of coming out of nowhere is unlikely, but not impossible. Some lists do run like an Expedite or something to give their creatures haste, just as something to be aware of. Although if they only have 1 card in hand, and now 0, that's not something to be concerned about. Yeah, we just continue to draw cards. Sword Protection Red means we never have to worry about any of their Kiln Fiend or Cyclops creatures in the future. And at this point, we're just looking for some way of using the Galvanic Blasts to win the game. If we start getting too low, we can look to double Galvanic Blast their Stormbound Geist, but that is not ideal. They take a look at our hand, and it's a pretty good hand. So much so that they concede after playing the second Stormbound Geist. At this point, this is when they realize that we do have a Thraben Inspector that will get in for 1 damage and then double Galvanic Blast for the win. So that is a match 3. Nope, sorry, match 4 that we just won. So yeah, hope you'll join me for the next one.